again. I'm a little concerned because my topic was not exactly splayed out in that way, so I'm just going to cut what I've got here and hope for the best. But certainly, I must say, after hearing some of the discussion this morning, and I have to say I did learn a new word this morning, that psychosocial.
Oh. Just remember that you
almost should have Beth.
only use psychosocial. Don't just talk about psycho.
Anyways, and I did hear, I think it was somebody from this table maybe that had mentioned hazard as bulls. Well, that's not gender neutral. It doesn't have to be a bull that can be angry, but certainly there's been many issues with female persuasion as well. So anyways, with that, good afternoon. I was asked to speak today. I questioned in what capacity. I was told it was because of my political career. Well, political and career and Beth, again, just don't seem to be just right. I actually have more of a tendency to argue with the politicians than to be a politician. So, of course, I questioned that heavily. Was I asked to speak as the past president of the Federation of Agriculture, the past president of the Atlantic Federations of Agriculture? Was I to speak as a director from Farm Safety Nova Scotia, as our president is here, Peter Moraine, and our vice, Greg Webster? Put your hands up. Any questions? Head them their way. Also, as Glenda mentioned, I am a participant as well in the CASAS pilot project. And the third, or the final question I had was because of my own accident on my own farm last year. But nevertheless, they are all related, each and every one of them. It is through my involvement with the agriculture organizations that has allowed me to gain a sincere appreciation of life in so many different commodities and to the so many different farmers that work in them. I consider myself lucky to have known a few that even lost their lives while working on their farms. It's heartbreaking, but accidents happen so fast. I've not heard of a single farm yet that has not had some sort of an accident on their farm. I have yet to hear any single farm say there has not been something happen. I didn't grow up on a farm myself, although both of my parents did. We did have a huge garden every year. I'm one of 7 kids, so yeah, it was kind of difficult for the folks to feed us all. So we had the garden. We were even the horses on the front end of the plows at times. We raised a few pigs over the years. We even had a couple of beef at one point, but we never had a farm. I married a farmer, a dairy farmer. That was quite a jolt. We milked cows for 20 years and we were tired. After both sets of parents passed on, we made the decision that it wasn't worth the 24/7, 365 days a year. Even while we were in dairy, we had safety issues such as broken bones, poor air quality that led to allergies, and even power saw cuts from logging and or sharpening fence posts. We transitioned into sheep and grapes. I do love farming, and the change in commodities for me was refreshing. My husband actually started his own bookkeeping business, so I married the farmer, but now I am the farmer. We have always tried to keep up to date with best management practices. We have an environmental farm plan, as Glenn mentioned, a nutrient management plan. I also have my pesticide certification, which is a scary thought in itself, but I've got that orange card. Farm safety is a continual work in progress, and when I look back on our own farm, I think of the Ivomax splash that happened in my husband's face when, we're out there trying to get those heifers out to pasture. Wind comes up. I do live in Nolan, an area where that tide comes in and the wind comes with it, and yeah, it happens. So the issues that came of that, the effects that it had on him with the numbness and of the blue lips, the call to poison control, to find out what in the world do we do now. The reality that even poison control didn't know what Ivomac was. Although the protocols were still good, and they were basically the same as what they would be for many different chemicals. It was a scary time. The repeat follow-up calls to check on them actually were very relieving. Teat deeps were splashed in the dips, were splashed in the eyes from swishing tails. Hateful cows, those females can be hateful. you know, I had one that broke a foot, and she was in her third lactation, and she'd been hateful right from the get-go. But this third lactation, I thought she had calmed down, seemed to have grown into a little maturity when I just wasn't paying enough attention. I was 3/4 of the way through the milking, and she let me have it. And of course, we were in a tie stall at the time, so I went down, got clocked in the foot, went down, and of course, when you go underneath the cow, they're stepping. So I had 2 of them actually stepping on me. Broke a foot, bruised kidneys, got myself rolled into the gutter, and found my way to the hospital shortly after that, and needed a little bit of cleaning before I got there. But it was a pretty traumatic experience. And the amount of time with that cast I had on my foot for 6 weeks, I never gained my courage back to go back into that barn to milk cows. I tried. My husband and family had gone at one point, and I was left there, the young fellow that was supposed to come in to milk. I was there to do the chores. He never showed. There wasn't enough alcohol in that house to get me through finishing milking, so I didn't. When my husband came home that night, I think there was somewhere around 6 branded heifers that I did not have the courage to milk, and I never made the attempt to milk in that barn again. So the good news is I did get a new barn out of that, but it was very costly and very expensive way to get that to happen. So I'm sure there are many different accidents that happen on other farms, but the most recent accident that had happened last summer, I'd been away on Federation business all day. Henry Vesters and I were down in Annapolis County dealing with an issue down there, and I returned that night to wrap bales right until 1 o'clock in the morning. Gave up, went out early the next morning because I wanted to finish out that row before any more bales started coming. We have an inline wrapper that it's got the ones with the big hoop on them. I'm sure many of you have seen them. But the plate come off the last bale, and I climbed up onto the table to put the plate back onto the bale. And when I did that, the pipes pulled apart. One of the pipes fell on the trigger, set the hoop in motion. And how I got on the ground, I'm not sure. I have no recollection of it whatsoever, but I do remember seeing my feet on the gravel, hoop come around, swept me off my feet, and pinned me totally against the table. So I ended up with 2 very badly bruised legs and quite a large puncture in the ankle of the other. And to this day, I still don't know what punctured my leg. I know that I've got what looks to be a bullet scar on my ankle, and I still have the bruises on both of my legs. And it's been almost 10 months. The bruises are still there. Luckily, the plastic was cut, so no, I didn't get wrapped up in the wrapper. But anyways, I speak of these accidents because I believe anyone in farming can relate to just how fast good can go bad. If I'd had a standard operating procedure for the wrapper, I would have reread it to refresh my memory. I was used to an individual wrapper that I ran most of the summers, so I knew that inside and out. I knew exactly what I was doing with that one. This one, you know, we're in sheep now, not dairy. I don't do the custom work anymore. We'll send the wrapper with other farmers, but we don't go with it. So, you know, the maximum of 2 days a year, and I'm done with that piece of machinery. So I was not familiarized with it. I messed up big time. I wanted to get the job done. I was in a hurry. I cannot stand manuals. I despise manuals. But the SOPs cut to the chase, and they give me what it is I need. If I'd have had it, my legs would not likely be in the condition they are right now. So I certainly encourage, I know I still have not, I'm like Geneve, I do not have the majority of my SOPs done, but I've got the most important ones done, and it'll continue to be a work in progress. I am a long way from having everything I need to be compliant, but I'm closer and actually do feel safer. My main SOPs are in place. The fire extinguishers have been recertified. General cleanup is happening more frequently to not only prevent trips and falls, but also helps with a sense of pride. I'm typically on my farm alone, but during lambing time, as it is right now, as well as grape pruning and harvesting, I do have others that come in to help. No one is full-time, but I am trying to protect both myself any occasional help, and God forbid, if something happens to me, most anyone can step in to take over just by following my SOPs. The biggest obstacle is me. There's absolutely no question. I am the biggest obstacle in trying to get this plan finished. It's so difficult to put any more action items onto an already full agenda. I'm not going to lie about this. The paperwork can be atrocious, sorry, and the time consumption can be overwhelming. Quite an endorsement, I know, but the end product has to work for you. Reality is that there will always be farm accidents. I don't question that for a second, but hopefully, by investing ourselves into the whole process, we can make our farm safer for all. So please, get with the plan. Thank you.